So in this video, I'm going to give you a walk around of one of my first projects. And while it's not the most ideal conditions, as you can see, it's buried behind planter parts. There's a very special reason as to why I'm doing this today. I've been thinking about how to go about putting together this video. As the person that it is dedicated to was very instrumental in my early development as I don't even know what to really call myself, a fabricator, I guess, doing all these crazy projects. His name was Dale Jones. He was a tool and die manufacturer, and a very good one at that, here locally. And he recently passed away in December. Oddly enough, when we were on that parts road trip out in Nebraska is when his service was. I felt very bad that I couldn't be there. As like I said, I'd known him probably since 2013, I believe. I think it was 2013. Yeah, because that's when I brought the cab home for this tractor. He was very helpful in helped me put this machine together. Now, granted, it's not complete in my eyes, but I've had other projects come along that took precedence as far as being needed in the field. This originally had a Hinnaker cab on it. It was very loud. I was called it the Tinnaker. Rattled your brains out being in there all day long. But I loved the tractor, and it was always a good machine for me. And I've seen people put these SoundGuard cabs on these older 20 series, and I thought, well, I guess it can be done. Maybe I can do it. And this was my first big project, and for the most part it was standard thought process of the smaller welding projects I'd done at that point, both in 4-H and FFA. But as you'll see on some of these things, I needed someone who could drill larger holes and also make some specialized parts. Now on this one, I had yet to fully understand what could be done with machine tooling. So when I went to him with a problem, I always thought it was impossible, and I soon found out how possible it was. So like I was saying, Mr. Jones was very instrumental in helping me get this tractor put together. That battery box was one of the first things that we did. Well, I take that back. That was the second. The first thing, let me find a way back there. I guess I was already halfway back here. Like I said, I wasn't really planning on doing a video on this. We'll have to do a number 2 for tractor stories. But anyway, the first thing is right here. Those are 3/4 inch bolts back in there. There's 4 of those that go around the axle housing. I had no way of drilling through that 1-inch material. And I don't know if you can see that or not, but there are 1, 2, 3 pieces of that 1-inch thick steel plate. And what that is there for, I don't know if any of you out there are John Deere fans or not, but if you look on the back of a 4630, which is basically just a modern version or the next version up of a 4520, those mounts, those tubes right there, or pieces of pipe rather, that come down those sit directly right here. Those pieces of pipe sit directly on a piece of cast slab, I guess, or a piece that's in the casting of that rear axle, and then bolt directly to the rear axle. Well, 4520s didn't have that because these cabs didn't exist back then. So I had to find a way to sandwich that axle to get the support and rollover protection while getting up high enough to move over far enough to clear that bell housing. And as a result, it ended up being basically 3 inches higher than what a standard SoundGuard is on a 4630. So when you sit in this thing, you feel like a king. Well, from a height perspective anyway. And this was very menial stuff. It's more or less what a job shop would be doing, and not a machinist. I'd go in there, with a dumbfounded look on my face, and he would look at me like, "Really? This is easy. I can do this in my sleep." We became good friends, honestly. Just simple things like this. I'd go in there with measurements, and he'd have the thing drilled up and ready to rock for me to weld together. I was in college at the time, and I'd drop them off on my way to class, and when I'd get done with my classes, I'd come back by there and pick them up. Also, while I'm on this side, that right there, that big cylindrical looking object, is something that I also added to this tractor. That you would normally find on like a 7520, and I think 6030s had those. All that is just a big chamber for the hydraulic fluid that comes off the pump, goes into that, and goes to the rest of the system. What that is an attenuator, and basically that's designed to cut down the chatter, that I'm sure a lot of you older listeners can remember hearing in those old Hinniker cabs. Well, that's because of that. So once you put that on there, that basically takes that oil and uses the mass of the oil to cancel out the vibrations. So at any rate, I think this is I don't think this is the original engine in this. I had this underhauled, I guess what they called it. Basically, I put new bearings in it, and I also decked it. Basically what they did is they took the head off, made sure it was nice and flat, and put a new head gasket on there. Runs great, but it's in its work clothes, and has always done a lot of work for me. I know that. This used to be my tractor that I worked ground with, and back in the day when I actually tilled, and then it became my planting tractor when I had a Kinsey split row, and then after that I got that. That was around the time I got my CPA, and I rewarded myself with the 4430, but that's a tale for a different day. But like I said, this was my first project. I'd never really done anything this intense. The cab itself came off of a 4430, oddly enough, kind of foretelling the future in a way. I brought that back from North Platte, Nebraska. I was out there on a 6-month internship. You might have heard the story a little bit in our planter parts travel video. But yeah, I went out there, and that was my souvenir. Perfectly normal souvenir. So No, I'm not going to start it. It probably would cold start, honestly. This thing, I am amazed at how well this thing starts in the cold, and how well it runs in general. But anyway, as you can see there, it's 4430 SoundGuard. Very interesting. That was the seat that was on the old suspension when I had it on the old configuration. I did leave the original 20 series dash. I did not buy the dash out of a 30 series. I kind of wanted to keep it unique in that regard. That's why I had to put this filler plate on there. Yeah, I know. It's like putting wing nuts on a Cadillac. It's not right, but whatever. At the time, I didn't have. This is all I had, you know. I didn't have anything that was. That light's gonna make it look ugly, but at any rate, you know, it's not a bad tractor. It needs finished. It really does. And in fact, down the road, we just might have to finish it off. This has really become a chore tractor. I spread manure with it. My dad has some beef cattle that you know, produce byproducts. I'm thinking about getting a mower for it, so that I can maybe mow ditch banks and waterways, that sort of thing. But it's not going anywhere. I really like it. Anyway, the reason for this video, like I said, was mainly to remember my good friend and mentor, Dale Jones. You know, this tractor really doesn't show what all he could do, and for that I maybe feel a little bit guilty for making a video, because the guy was a very talented machinist. I'd go in there and I'd see some of the projects he was working on, and I was blown away. It was amazing what you could do with a vertical mill, a lathe, and just some know-how and some math. When I learned some of the thought processes that you used whenever you ran a milling machine, it was like when I learned how to weld. It was that same feeling of freedom and really just, wow, I can do that. I can make that now. If that part isn't available anymore, it's not like the end of the world. All I really need to know is what type of material is used, and then figure out how to make it. With a mill and a lathe, there ain't much that you can't make. Now, I don't have a lathe yet. I intend to get one, but it was always very interesting going in there and seeing what he was making, and then just asking questions, and he would he'd not only answer it, but go a little bit further and tell you a story. And yeah, I'm gonna miss him. So the last thing I ever had him make for me was you saw it in the air reel project video. It was that drive shaft for the fan. All I did is I took him the overall length, the old gearbox drive shaft, which was still in the gearbox, and I said I need the left side of the shaft to look like this. I need the right side to go into this. I don't have a lathe to make it happen. And went back a day later, and there it was. And yeah, the next thing I knew, it was a month later, and well, he was gone. You know, it's pretty amazing to think about all the people you run into in your life, and what they really do for you. They make you who you are, and you really, I don't think you ever really fully appreciate it until you do something like this. You look back on it and go, wow, had I not crossed paths with that individual, I wouldn't be where I'm at today doing what I'm doing. We all have not only just one person like that to thank, but several people like that we've crossed paths with that have made us who we are. And, you know, I was blessed with two great parents that always gave me support for these crazy projects. My dad probably regrets it, but taught me how to weld when I was in 4-H. And my mom, she taught me what hasn't she taught me? She got me into 4-H for one, and taught me basic business knowledge, was instrumental in getting me to where I'm at from an education standpoint. You know, I'm very thankful for the people in my life. So if you take one thing away from this video, it's go out there, find somebody that's been instrumental in your life, and say thank you. And because you never know, you really don't know when they'll no longer be there. And yeah. So anyway, I am going to let you go on this. Stay tuned for more on the strip till project. I am still working on it, I promise. I have about 20 more of those depth control rods to do. It's taken a while because, well, it's winter and it's cold, and yeah, I don't have a heated shop, so, and we're also heading into tax season, and I'm also doing all these road trips, buying more stuff. So stay tuned, be patient. I will keep them coming. Hopefully down the road we can get this thing out together. I don't think I've actually run this on the channel yet. Heck, I don't even know if you guys knew I had this machine. So this is the first tractor I ever owned. It's got plenty of scars on it, but I tell you what, she runs good, and that's all that matters.